Defensively, we were better there than offensively. It wasn't a great offensive day for us, but you're going against your defense. I hate scrimmages as a head coach because, if one side does perform at a very high level, it's usually at the expense of the other side, and so you got to temper whatever enthusiasm you might have with that. But we got our work done. The first scrimmage ran nearly 115 plays. The second scrimmage, another close to 100 plays. So we certainly have had ample time to get that work in, and that's what's so important is that you put players in realistic game-like situations as best you can simulate those situations on the practice field, and through that try to answer some of the questions that coaches have, while at the same time preparing your players the best way possible for when the lights go on for real. So it was a good scrimmage. We did have the one injury to Josh Hansen. That's always that thing you hold your breath on a little bit, but thankfully it's not as serious of an injury as it appeared initially. He most likely will miss the first game here in Texas, but should be back soon, we believe, and we're thankful for that. Well, first I felt it was very important that we make a decision early, that this team know who its quarterback was going to be. It's obviously the most high-profile position on any football team, and Robert, just over the summer, the work that he did, the feedback I was getting from players that were involved in the 7-on-7s that they conducted over the summer was all very, very positive. He is a very mature young man. He's a football junkie, as I've said before. Just understands the game, sees the field, and obviously comes from a program in Corona Centennial that is one of the top, not only in the state of California, but one of the top high school programs nationally, and they ask an awful lot of their quarterback. So his training prior to arrival here at Humboldt State was of a very high level, and he just has that confidence that quarterbacks must have, and just felt it was the right time to make that decision. Now this is uncharted territory for me, and in 24 years, not only have I never started a freshman at the quarterback position, only one other year, in 1999, have I played a true freshman, and that only happened because of injury to two others. So it's not a decision I took lightly. It's not a decision that was predetermined, although we knew we were getting a very talented player in Robert, and but really what we have seen on the practice field, the way he carries himself, the inner confidence that he has, as well as his overall knowledge of the game, I just felt it was the right decision to make. So we don't need our quarterback to win the game. Okay, we need him to manage the game, but not win the game. We're not going to put that responsibility on any position, but we all have to help one another. And certainly our running backs, not just Nick Riccadulli, but we have three freshman running backs that we are very, very high on in Jaquan Gardner, Richard Doctor, and Mark Parsons. And all three of those freshmen, along with Nick, are part of the game plan. So it's a position where we feel we have great depth. We've got a young but talented, we believe, certainly will be in time, offensive line. That's a tremendously cohesive group. They work together. So there's a lot of newness to what we're doing, certainly more so on the offensive side than the defensive side. But it should be fun to watch this team. It's a team like we feel with Robert Weber at quarterback. It's a team on the offensive side that we think will get better each week out, because as they gain that valuable game experience, there's no way to simulate that in practice, although we all try. But as they gain that experience, that should help their improvement as we move ahead. Well, obviously, yeah, it will be in the mid to upper 90s most likely. That's I think the average temperature in Kingsville this time of year is 97 degrees. It is a 7 o'clock p.m. kickoff. That should help. But you know what? So many of our players come from climates here in the state of California that are similar in some ways. You get excessive heat. We got a lot of kids from the Sacramento area, a lot of players from Southern California. So I'm more worried about myself being from Washington and how I handle it. But no, again, you can't simulate that in practice. You trust your conditioning, you trust your summer preparation and all that, and you hope you have the depth to rotate at certain positions where that's necessary. But you also hope that the adrenaline kicks in and you don't really worry about that much once you're there. Well, first games are always kind of, there's a lot of uncertainty. You're just not sure. They are experienced on their offensive line and in their defensive secondary. Other positions, they'll too be starting a new quarterback, just a redshirt freshman, getting his first collegiate start. Redshirted a year ago, so playing collegiately for the first time. So there are some similarities in regards to that. We can look at a lot of tape from last year, but the reality of it is it's a new year. It is for us as it is for Kingsville. You look at schemes, the things they do both on the offensive side and the defensive side. Their coaching staff is in their second year, so again, having gone through this ourselves a few years back, that first year is about trying to lay a foundation, establish a set of standards that you're going to operate by, and now they've had a year to recruit players that fit their system and to establish themselves as a coaching staff. And so we certainly expect them to come out and be a much better football team than we may see on tape from a year ago, and we hope that they'll see a much better football team from Humboldt State than they see on tape watching us from 2013. So, but first games are that way. A lot of question marks, a lot of unknowns, a lot of players that you don't see on tape from a year before, and that's kind of the excitement when you play that first game is let's see who's been able to put those pieces in the right place. This is what it's all about for coaches and for players. Again, we're not in this game for January through August. All right, and the things you do then. We're in this game for September, October, November, and the excitement of taking these pieces, whether it be returning pieces or whether it be pieces that you've spent, tremendous hours, evaluating, recruiting, and ultimately convincing to come to your school, taking all those different pieces and trying to put them together. It's like a giant jigsaw puzzle. Put those pieces in the right place, and you get all the pieces in the right place. Hopefully there's a beautiful picture that now is present. So it's exciting. This is our time of year. It's why we do what we do, and we feel very good about getting Nick Riccadulli back, getting Jerry Malawia back. Certainly, their loss was felt in so many ways last year, just not on the field, but in so many ways. We also get Nick Sharp back, who missed 2013. We get Gianni Olivas back, who missed all but one game last year. Jonathan Rowe and Jonathan Bajet, two offensive linemen, missed the majority of last year with injuries. So, we can go on and on and on. There's just a lot of pieces that we thought we'd have a year ago we ended up not having, and now they're back. But we know this game can be cruel at times. We know there will be adversity yet to face for our football team, just like there will be for any football team. There will be players on the roster right now that through injury we end up losing possibly. You hope that doesn't happen, but the game, like I said, can be cruel at times. So it's really how you position yourselves to be in a position to deal with whatever the adversity this season will bring. Never have I been through a 2013, and the record aside, never have I experienced a football team that had so many players that were part of a group in July and August that ultimately come September, October were taken away for various reasons. So we hope we can hold this thing together. You hope that you're able to put your best out there, and that you can match your best against your opponent's best. And then it's the preparation, the work, and the execution that ultimately determines the outcome. It would be too easy to put it all on injuries, but it was a perfect storm. It really was. It was a combination of things that just, the team we thought we had, I believe we had in June and July, was not the team we ultimately ended up playing with the majority of our games. And our depth was certainly tested, and it showed some vulnerability or some weaknesses in that area. We ended up by a third of the way, 2/3 of the way through the season, playing 4 true freshmen on the offensive side of the ball, 2 of whom were walk-on freshmen. So our depth was exposed, or lack of depth was exposed a little bit. But that being said, we were also placed in situations where you have to find a way, and that's the nature of what we do. You can talk about adversity and all the things that are thrown at you, whether they be injury or other things. It's our job as coaches, and our job is ultimately as a football program to deal with whatever hardships and adversity, and still find a way.